Hey everyone, Slambo here, back in my home office. Been a crazy couple of weeks. I've had drives all the way across Iowa. I had a photo shoot in Orange City, Iowa, which is almost to the other end of the state, just a little bit north of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And then I had a bunch of shoots up in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area this past weekend. So I did a lot of driving in the last week and a half. 7 hours all the way over to the other end of Iowa, 4 hours each way to Minneapolis. Plus, there's all the little stops in between there. Had a lot of driving, a lot of windshield time, but also some time to stop in and check out some of the antique stores and at least one record shop while I was out. So I planned in a little bit of extra time for myself, because you got to plan some extra time. You got to take care of yourself. You got to do mental health stuff. Take care of your own well-being, as well as take care of the clients that you got. You got to go out and do the work. But if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to do the work. But anyway, all that to say, I picked up a lot of records. I got a really big stack here next to me. Let's see how quickly we can get through it. This might be one of the longer ones, just because of looking at how big this stack is. It's about that big. Plus, there's 2 more items on the floor that I got this week. So let's see how quickly we can go through it. So I mentioned I had a trip all the way across Iowa to Orange City. I was photographing at Northwestern College there in Orange City, Iowa. It was an all-day shoot, but on the way back, I was able to stop at the, I think it was called the Plaza Antique Mall in Dyersville, which is just a little bit past Dubuque. So from my house, going down to Dubuque is about 90 minutes-ish. And then this was about another 15 or 20 minutes past Dubuque on Highway 20. Dyersville is known as the home of the National Farm Toy Museum. And the antique mall is basically across the street from that building. The only antique mall that I've been in so far that actually had real full cars in the antique mall inside it. So lots of really neat stuff to look at. There were a couple of vendors there that had records, and actually some not too bad records. I'll post, so flipping through at least one of the crates up here. And then the whole upper floor was all farm toys and a couple of little miscellaneous. But yeah, I picked up one record out of there, plus something else for my cameras. So the one record I picked up was the Police Synchronicity. And of course, this one is one of those that's in, if we get the light shining behind it, there it is, translucent purpley blue. It looks purple here on on this side of the record. On the screen in front of me, it looks kind of blue, but yeah, it's a translucent record, and it's pretty cool. I've read that there are variants of this where the different color stripes are in different positions and the pictures are different. So far, I only need to pick up this one. This was a gift for my wife, Jennifer, who is a fan, almost a super fan of Sting. So I pointed that one out and said, we really should get that one because it's a really neat record and it's the Police. You like Sting. We've got almost all of his records somewhere, either on CD or on vinyl. So we had to pick that one up. Then when I got back, I had an item in the mail. This was a pre-order for me. This was one that was just reissued. This was from They Might Be Giants. This is the Mesopotamians shirt from their last visit here. I picked that up at their last visit here in Madison. This one is a recent reissue of Join Us. This one just came out. It was just delivered last Friday. And let's see, do I have a knife here? No, I do not. All right, hang on a minute. Okay, so we got the hype sticker on the front. I'm going to hold on to that. But as I do with most of my records, let's get it open so we can take a look at it. This one is on a special color variant, and it is a gatefold. So inside here we've got all the lyrics to the songs that are on this album. And then here's the record. And I think this one has, yes, it does have a download card in there. I'm not going to show that. Save that download for myself. Let's see how staticky this is. Oh, it's not so bad at all. This one is on clear vinyl. And the label looks the same on both sides. But there it is, Join Us from my favorite band, They Might Be Giants. Just arrived on Friday. It should be, I think I saw it on the TMBG shop website. So the next thing I got, whoops, I want to save that for the hype sticker. Next thing I got is one of the business groups I'm in this week had a visitor's day, and I just came from that meeting this morning. We had a visitor's day, and one of my tasks was to assemble a door prize. So that gave me a good excuse to stop by my local thrift shop, one of them at least, at the St. Vinny's store. I picked up a few CDs. The one that I went to here on the west side of Madison doesn't have any vinyl. That's all on the east side location, but the west side has a good selection of CDs. I got 4 of them for $2 total. So I picked up Silly Songs. Contains 30 kooky tunes, it says. The CD there. A lot of kids songs on here, but yeah, a lot of fun. So Silly Songs, kind of various artists. I don't see an artist name here, but up here in the sleeve here it says, there to get that in focus, performed with kids. And it's not focusing on that for me. There we go. Anyway, but yeah, Silly Songs. And then I picked up, because I've been watching a lot of this group's videos on YouTube for a while. I haven't gotten to see them live yet, but that's one of my goals, is to get out to Vegas and to see their resident show. But that is the Blue Man Group. This one is the album The Complex. And there's the CD. And it looks like there is another picture under the disc. So Blue Man Group, one of my favorite videos that they've done is they do a collaboration with the Kodo drummers out of Japan, and the video online shows them sort of chatting it out beforehand. Each group, Blue Man Group showing how they perform, Kodo drummers showing how they perform, and then them working on something, and then doing a collaboration song at the end, and it is just fantastic. The next thing I got also from the St. Vinny's is adding to the Disney collection, but it's one that I didn't know I needed until I saw it there. And that's the Descendants 3 soundtrack. And this one, there's the disc. Another picture inside there. This one looks like it's going to be more straight ahead music, but I don't know since I haven't seen the film yet. But yeah, I haven't listened to it yet. Looking forward to it. The last one I picked up at St. Vinny is one that I was when I looked back at my Discogs, I was kind of surprised that I did not have a copy of this yet, because it's one of the older albums by this artist. I think every comedy collector needs at least several, 5 or 6 records by this artist, just because his name is so big. And of course that is Weird Al, and this is his album 3D, in 3D. The CD itself is pretty plain, but there's no booklet in it. It's just another copy of the picture there, the same picture that's on the back. So that's what I picked up at St. Vinny's. This week, I had, like I mentioned earlier, and you saw in my preview video on, I think it was Monday night, or was it Tuesday night? No, it was Monday night, going into Tuesday morning, because I was at the second night of the trip. I posted a preview of some of the stuff that I picked up there, and that's about what I showed. The stack that I had in my hand that I showed in that video is about half of what I ended up picking up from the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. So I mentioned that I went to one record store. I only had time for one. By the time I finished my work on Monday afternoon, all of the antique stores were closed, and the thrift shops, they were still open, but I wasn't in the mood for going to a lot of shops that night. So I went to one record store and one thrift shop. The record store I went to is Cheapo Records, and digging through the stacks, there was a lot of stuff in there that had printouts from Discogs. So they have a pretty good connection onto the collector market. However, there's arguments about, whether you should base your pricing on Discogs or not. Most of what I saw there was based on the median price, which I think is about average, except for a couple that I might put into another video that I've got later on. I was thinking of doing the top 10 most valuable in my Discogs list. And there's one that's awfully surprising in there. So that makes me think that, the store basing their retail prices on the Discogs median price might not be the best idea. So we'll talk about that in a future video. But anyway, I was looking through, mostly I took a look through their recent arrivals. And then I went down to one of the corners where they have the miscellaneous, which is usually where the comedy is, and found a few more things there. So I've got Casey's Comedy Album for Kids. This is kids songs with a railroad theme. So there we go. So the train tracks thread continues. So featuring TV's Casey and Roundhouse. So there's Casey and the other character named Roundhouse. And the back of it. And then it's got printed reproductions of their signatures. So this is a TV show that I need to look up and see if there's copies of it on YouTube. There probably are. It's not the only copy of this record that I saw in Minneapolis, so I think it was a local thing to the upper Midwest area. But yeah, it needs some more research. And then I've got Father Guido Sarducci live at St. Douglas Convent. This was right a little bit after he released his 5-Minute University. And on here, I saw in here, let's see, where is it? There it is. Father Sarducci talks about his educational background and his idea for a 5-Minute University right there on the front and on track 1. And then the rest of it is telling various stories to the convent there at St. Douglas. So Father Guido Sarducci, one of my favorite Saturday Night Live characters. Then we got one that's can be a little controversial, but it's controversial on purpose because this group it tends to walk that edge a lot. And that is, of course, National Lampoon. This is their White Album. I won't mention too much about the artistry on there, but you can make your own conclusions. And on the same topic of kind of pushing the edge, we've got one that I haven't listened to directly yet, but I think maybe based on a Shel Silverstein poem. It doesn't say anything on the back that I could see mentioning Shel Silverstein, but he did a long-form poem of a similar topic. And this one is The Great Contest. This one is a flatulence contest. So the contestants hold the pole there and make the noises. And on the back, there's a special acknowledgement to all the cabbage growers of the world for making the blow-by-blow contest possible. So the Great Contest doesn't say who it's by on the front or on the back, but there are a couple of other things on side too. So looking forward to listening to that one. And then we have a pair of records from a pair or a duo that I did not know about before. I've seen the names, but I didn't know that they were that they had any comedy records out. I just hadn't looked for them yet. And that's Alan and Rossi. This is the album called Hello There, recorded live at the Sands in Las Vegas, like it says there on the front. And there's the back of it. The other one that I got of them from the same store is this one. Alan and Rossi Meet the Great Society. And there's the back of that one. And they put Hello There underneath their portrait on that one. And then two more from that record store. There's one Prairie Home Companion record. This one is called Tourists. This one has some of the bits on it, including Powder Milk Biscuits, which is one of the premier commercials, fake commercials that they did there. There's Bertha's Kitty's Boutique, the Iowa song, When I Stop Drinking, and it ends with something called Kill It Kid. So some of the stuff that I've heard before in the show, and some other songs that I don't know yet, but I'm looking forward to hearing. The last one that I picked up at Cheapo Records was Rich Little, and this is Politics and Popcorn. All the pictures here on the front cover are some of the voices that he's done, most well known for Richard Nixon down here in the corner, but some of the others up here, if I thought about it, I would recognize a lot more of them. And when I hear them, there's John Wayne, I know that one. But other than that, I need to I need to take some time and think about it and read what it says on the back, because it's likely written on the back what all the voices are. So the next thing I went to that same evening is I went to a Salvation Army store, and there was probably the best selection of Disneyland records that I found in this trip. First, I'm going to start off with a CD that I picked up, and this one is probably also straight ahead music, but I didn't have it in my collection yet, and that is the soundtrack to the Wild Thornberrys movie. The Wild Thornberrys, of course, is one of the cartoons that features Tim Curry as one of the voices. There we go. It's all about a family of a British naturalist who's doing work in Africa, and they sort of adopt one of the local kids. Although the local kid is a white kid, I'm not sure how they got away with that one. But yeah, Wild Thornberrys soundtrack. I picked that one up for $2. There it is. And then the other Disney records that I got there, one of them I showed already on the preview, and that's this Mary Poppins. This is the one with the booklet and cartoon drawings of the various movie scenes, but not featuring Julie Andrews or Dick Van Dyke. Julie Andrews, by the way, just this week got a Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Film Institute for all of the work that she's done in movies. And part of the recognition ceremony, they had someone dressed as Mary Poppins with holding the umbrella to just fly in above the audience. Those are on YouTube, so take a look, check them out. It is a really touching tribute for anyone who knows her work. Also, at the same place, I found another version of basically the same thing. This one is 10 Songs from Mary Poppins. Again, Marnie Nixon, Bill Lee, and Richard Sherman. He's, of course, half of the Sherman brothers that wrote a lot of the music for Disney films back in the day. On the yellow Disneyland label, all the songs that everyone knows, but sung by people who weren't in the movie. But it'd be interesting to hear the Richard Sherman version of these, because he wrote a lot of the music at that time, and it's kind of fun to hear him and his brother sing the music. Next one that I got, also from the same place on the yellow Disneyland label, Peter and the Wolf. This one also from Walt Disney's Fantasia Sorcerer's Apprentice on side 2. There it is. So this one I have a picture disc, die-cut disc of Mickey Mouse with of Mickey Mouse, picture die-cut of Mickey Mouse with the song The Sorcerer's Apprentice. But yeah, Peter and the Wolf and the Sorcerer's Apprentice. And then Walt Disney's Cinderella, the story and the songs. This one is not a gatefold. Or it is. There it is. It was just, it was kind of stuck there. But this one has the book. Again, cartoon pictures. And it's a read-along story and music on the red Disneyland label. And this one also needs an inner sleeve. And the last one that I got in that trip was one that I don't see very often anymore anywhere. And that's probably related to a movie that Disney wants to forget about. That's kind of hard to find. It's out there if you really look for it, but it's not one that they advertise. And that, of course, is the story of Brer Rabbit with Brer Fox and Brer Bear. The movie is, of course, Song of the South. It featured these stories with Uncle Remus telling the story of Brer Rabbit. And there's only a couple of pages in this book. It looks like some of the pages are missing. It's on, again, the red Disneyland label. And on the label here, it says the story of Walt Disney's Stories of Uncle Remus. So that connects it to the movie. And on the back, yep, there are a few pages missing. So the back shows previews of the booklet, what's supposed to be there. So I'll need to find a better copy of that one to get the full story. All right, so the next day I had 3 photo shoots on Tuesday, and one of them was scheduled for mid-morning and got rescheduled into the afternoon. So from my 9 o'clock shoot until my 1 o'clock shoot, that gave me a few hours to go around and explore a little bit more and go get lunch. So I went to a few more thrift stores around the Minneapolis area, specifically the Hopkins, Eden Prairie area, because that's where my photo shoots were. So the first one, let me grab that. It's off on the side here. I got a pair of bookshelf speakers. Speakers for $9 each. These are 4-ohm speakers from Analog and Digital Systems, Inc. There's the numbers there. Model L400, serial number 013703. Yay. So these will be the speakers that I use here in my office, assuming that they work. I picked them up for, what was it, $9? Yeah, $9 each. There's 2 speakers. I'm only picking up one because they're certainly not light. The front panel here, this is metal, and I didn't see any problems with it. The front panel is a little bit loose, but you can see the light. You can see the cone there on the main speaker there, and the tweeter there on the top. Everything looks okay, so I'm assuming that these will work well. I'll hook them up to the Onkyo receiver that I picked up at another thrift shop pretty soon, probably within the next couple of weeks when I've got some extra time before my next shoots. So let me put this down. All right, so there were a few shops that I went to. There were 2 Goodwills and another one called the Bethesda thrift store. I'm not sure if I've got these in the right order, and in fact I'm pretty sure they're not in the right order, because that is not the first one that I went to. The first one that I went to, because my shoot was at 9 a.m. and there we go, get that in the right order. The first photo shoot I had was at 9 a.m. The store opened at 10 a.m. So I was sitting outside the front door with a few other people waiting to get in to go shopping. They had a reasonable selection of records there. It was pretty small, and some of it was off in the corner way up high where it was kind of hard to see, but they were all up to $2 each. So I picked up a couple of records there. First was another Disney record, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, Walt Disney Presents, plus the Elves and the Shoemakers and the 12 Brothers, it says, on the yellow Disneyland label. This one does have an inner sleeve. It's just not turned sideways the way I like it. I haven't listened to this yet because I just got it home, but yeah, it looks like it's in pretty good condition. And then also picked up Sherry Lewis with Jack and the Beanstalk. So Sherry Lewis with Lamb Chop is one of the puppet, and Charlie Horse is right here, and Hush Puppy is not shown. And there's the back of it. So Sherry Lewis had a TV show with Lamb Chop for a while. So this is more of a kid's album. It's got the TV Sherry takes you to Storyland in delightful productions of The Tortoise and the Hare, Pinocchio, Pied Piper of Hamelin, Jack and the Beanstalk, and The Lion and the Mouse. So yeah, Sherry Lewis and Lamb Chop with some kids' stories. And the third one that I picked up at that store is kind of an upgrade copy for me, because I picked it up more for the cover than anything else. I do have another copy of this in my collection, and I'm going to compare it with that copy. I might Frankenstein them together if that record is better than this record. I think this one is better. But that's Songs by Tom Lehrer. And Tom Lehrer is one of the artists that I have most of his records. He did a bunch of songs that people know. The Elements is one of the best known songs that he did, and that is not on this record. That one I think is on An Evening Wasted with Tom Lehrer, which was one of the live music records that he did. So Songs by Tom Lehrer. There was a follow-up album to this called More Songs by Tom Lehrer. Also in my collection, I have a couple of copies of that, but that one, like I said, that's an upgrade copy for at least the cover. So I'm going to have to look through and take a look at the record and see how good that one is. The second Goodwill that I went to had a much smaller record section, and it was actually one of the more popular sections of the store when I was in there. There was one guy who was digging through the stack there, and he finished right as I came around the corner to see where the records were, and another couple went into that corner and started digging through. And then I had to wait for them, and then it was my turn to dig through, and then right after me there was someone else that came in and started digging through. So I don't mind because, collecting comedy, those are usually the ones that are left behind. Not a lot of people collect comedy like I do. And I was kind of happy to find this one there. Bruce Springsteen, live at Bedrock, featuring Meet the Flintstones. And there we go. Take Me Out to the Ball Game on the other side, featuring Bruce Springsteen. This is an EP, so there's only a couple of songs on this one. It's a 45 RPM record. So there we go. Whoop, get the label in the right orientation. There we go. Cold Cuts Records. So an EP of a name that I knew about, but almost never see in the wild. So I'm really happy to find this one there for, I think it was just $1 for this one. So yeah, I love getting stuff out of the dollar bins. The only other record that I got at that store, I looked this one up. I picked this one up more for the title than anything else, but I did a quick look up on Discogs. It says it's a reggae album, and I tend to believe that based on what the label looks like. It's another 12-inch single, an EP. Kind of generic cover, but this one we've got Joe Gibbs and the Professionals on one side with Mouth Talk. The other side, Barrington Levy with Mind Ya Mouth and Late Night Movie. And it's that first Mind Ya Mouth that made me pick this one up. I don't have a whole lot of reggae in my collection. I think this might be the first actual record of reggae that I've bought. I grew up listening to a lot of reggae because my dad would listen to that on public radio, and there was a couple of other local radio channels that played reggae. So that's what I got at that store. The last store that I went to, the Bethesda store, had a much better selection of records, and there was a whole bunch of CDs there. Flipping through there, I'll pop that up here on the screen. There were a couple of records in there that I know that there's some people that are looking for. I almost picked up that Led Zeppelin record that I showed there. I pulled it out, set it aside, started looking at it, and it's great music, but I've got the songs on CD, and I'm not a Led Zeppelin collector, so I put that one back in the stack for someone else to discover. What I did pick up out of that stack was this one, Just Try to Sing Along in Swedish, with Doug Stederberg and Stan Berenson. Can't quite read that under the accordion there. With that title, that's got to be a silly record. I did a quick look up on Discogs. There are a couple of other records by these two artists that are also listed in the comedy section. But based on that title, Just Try to Sing Along in Swedish, makes me think that they pick up some fake Swedish accents and just make up noises to go along with the song. So I've got to listen to that one. Then we've got the Fanny Brice story, as sung by Kay Ballard. She's done a bunch of other things that I've listened to in the past, and in the notes here, it describes that the extensive range that Kay Ballard has, that she can sing the most sultry or the most straight of songs, and then have you in tears with the comedy. So I had to pick this one up. So the Fanny Brice story in song, as sung by Kay Ballard. Another one that I'm looking forward to listening to. This one, I've got a few records by this artist, and this one is one that I didn't have yet, mostly because I've got so many of others of his records, and that's the very best of Ray Stevens. So Ray Stevens, very best of. The penultimate record that I'm going to show today, and now the ultimate record, the last one that I'm going to show today, is also the last one that I got at the Bethesda store, and that's Jerry Clower from Yazoo, Mississippi Talkin'. And I've got two other records from this artist, and the one that I listened to, it was kind of a cut-up of his bits, where they took a whole bunch of his bits and just cut it down to, I'm Jerry Clower, I'm from Yazoo, and that made that record just kind of meh. So I'm hoping this one will be better. This one looks more like complete stories. So the other Jerry Clower record that I've got has some snippets of what sounds like some fun stories. Now I'm hoping to hear some full stories. But yeah, there we have it. There's a whole bunch of records that I picked up in the last 2 weeks. One by mail, the rest actually going out to various stores. One record store and the rest thrift shops and antique stores. Mixed success at the antique stores and the thrift stores. Reasonable success at the record store. I do have another trip planned up to that area next month sometime, so we'll I got one client that had to reschedule from this past trip, and I picked up 2 more clients in that area. So I'll be back up there, and I'll try some other stores because there are a lot of thrift stores and a few record stores in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area that I definitely need to visit. But that's what I've got today. See you next time.